I am continuing in my reading. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am continuing reading in a chronological order, according to event, not according to publication or volume, so I'm skipping around a bit as I move along. We are once again continuing in the Doctrine and Covenants, and we are in section 107. This is the most direct and clear description of church organization. Now, before this, we've had the various offices of the church. We've mentioned high priests, elders, priests, teachers, and deacons, and we've been given their responsibilities, their duties in the church. But we have not been told how to organize quorums of these offices. Up to this point, there have been no quorums. We've had conferences where various people would come and we would make decisions and kind of vote on things, but we have not had organized quorums in the church before this point. Section 107 is given just after the organization of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles and the first Quorum of the 70. Those quorums have been formed, have been properly organized and ordained, and the 12 are being sent out to organize the branches of the church according to the organization of heaven. That is what section 107 is. In our first reading, we read the first 39 verses, in which we had a direct description of the difference between the Melchizedek and the Aaronic priesthood, but also how to organize the presiding quorums of the church and how their authority is delineated from, you have the first presidency, quorum of the 12, and the quorum of the 70. That's what we have read. That's how we read about how the general authorities of the church are to be organized and what their responsibilities, what their duties are. We're going to pick this up now, section 107, starting in verse 40, and read through verse 58. And I do believe that this portion is actually kind of a historical review of sorts. So, starting in verse 39. It is the duty of the 12 in all large branches of the church to ordain evangelical ministers, as they shall be designated unto them by revelation. The order of this priesthood was confirmed to be handed down from father to son, and rightly belongs to the literal descendants of the chosen seed, to whom the promises were made. This order was instituted in the days of Adam, and came down by lineage in the following manner. From Adam to Seth, who was ordained by Adam at the age of 69 years, and was blessed by him 3 years previous to his, Adam's, death, and received the promise of God by his father, that his posterity should be the chosen of the Lord, and that they should be preserved unto the end of the earth. Because he, meaning Seth, was a perfect man, and his likeness was the express likeness of his father, insomuch that he seemed to be like unto his father in all things, and could be distinguished from him only by his age. Enos was ordained at the age of 134 years and 4 months by the hand of Adam. God called upon Canaan in the wilderness in the 40th year of his age, and he met Adam in journeying to the place Shedolamek. He was 87 years old when he received his ordination. Mahalaleel was 496 years and 7 days old when he was ordained by the hand of Adam, who also blessed him. Jared was 200 years old when he was ordained under the hand of Adam, who also blessed him. Enoch was 25 years old when he was ordained under the hand of Adam, and he was 65, and Adam blessed him. And he saw the Lord, and he walked with him, and was before his face continually, and he walked with God 365 years, making him 430 years old when he was translated. Methuselah was 100 years old when he was ordained under the hand of Adam. Lamech was 32 years old when he was ordained under the hand of Seth. Noah was 10 years old when he was ordained under the hand of Methuselah. Now, what is all this? Why do we need to know this, and what's this ordination? So why was Mahalaleel ordained when he was 430, but Noah when he was 10? But what is this priesthood that we're talking about here? Notice in verse 39, it says they have the traveling high council. This is the 12 apostles, have the power, or have the duty, to ordain evangelical ministers. Joseph Smith tells us that an evangelist is the same as what we call a patriarch. This is the priesthood that we are being taught about here in this line. The priesthood of the patriarch started with Adam and was passed down from father to son. It rightly belongs to the firstborn, or the oldest worthy descendant. of the chosen or promised covenant line. Went from Adam to Seth, went from Seth to Enos to Canaan. Now notice, Adam's the one ordaining all these guys, up until we get to Lamech, who was ordained by Seth, and then Noah is ordained by Methuselah. But down to Methuselah, they're all ordained by Adam, meaning they were all alive when Adam was alive. There's a lot of historical information here that is just fascinating and fills in a lot of the gaps that we have in the Bible and even in the book of Moses. We are given a number of things here that are just fascinating to read, but the main point, the reason we're being given this, is to show the priesthood of the patriarch. Up to this point, at least in the scriptures, we have not had any direct statement about a patriarch. And today, of course, we have the stake patriarchs, which is what we're reading in verse 39, is the duty of the 12 to ordain patriarchs in all the churches. But the priesthood of the patriarch, this office is an office in the Melchizedek priesthood, but it is an office that can only be held by the descendants of the chosen line. And I'm pretty sure this is referring to all patriarchs. Now, if we follow the chosen line, this only takes us down to Noah. But after Noah, you get Shem, and then his son Arphaxad, and then Heber, or no, then Salah, then Heber, and down till you get to Abraham. And then you have Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, and then Ephraim is given this priesthood. This is what the birthright is in the Old Testament, is this priesthood of the patriarch. That is what we're being taught here. And it is the descendants of Ephraim who have the right to the priesthood of the patriarchy. Now, a portion of this also belongs to the firstborn of any family, any worthy family. So my father, he was the first son of his father. Therefore, he would inherit a patriarchal authority over his family as well as his descendants. My brother David, he is the eldest of my brothers. And so after my father, our family would look to him as the next in authority in our family. For me, my oldest son would be next after me in our family, but after me, so my son, he has the birthright, he has my birthright. But my birthright starts with me. He would then be under the birthright of my brother David, because he holds the birthright of our family, of our generation. And that's how it goes back, that's how it works. So Isaac he has the birthright after Abraham because he was the eldest son of the first wife. And he has authority not only over his own descendants, but he has the priesthood of the patriarch over Ishmael and over the other sons of Abraham who were born to his third wife. That is why we call these men the ancient patriarchs, because they are the leaders of their generation. Not just their family, but of their generation. So I am the leader of my family as the father, and my son becomes the leader of my family after me. But in our generation, there is one patriarch, and that follows the line of Ephraim. And in the last days, the first patriarch to the church was Joseph Smith Sr., because he was the oldest living worthy descendant of Ephraim at the time. After him, or in the most direct line to Ephraim, not just descendant, but the most direct line to Ephraim of the firstborn sons. After him, it would have gone to Joseph's brother Alvin, but Alvin died before the priesthood could be restored, and so when Joseph Smith Sr. dies, it passes to Hiram, who is the eldest surviving worthy son of Joseph Smith Sr. When Hiram dies, it passes to his son, Joseph F. Smith. I think it was Joseph F. Smith. After that, I kind of lose track of it. But we have this is the priesthood we're talking about. Anyways, I rambled enough. Let us get back to this, verse 53. 3 years previous to the death of Adam, he called Seth, Enos, Canaan, Mahalaleel, Jared, Enoch, and Methuselah, who were all high priests with the residue of his posterity, who were righteous, into the valley of Adam on Diamon. And there bestowed upon them his last blessing. And the Lord appeared unto them, and they rose up and blessed Adam, and called him Michael, the prince, the archangel. And the Lord administered comfort unto Adam, and said unto him, I have set thee to be at the head. A multitude of nations shall come of thee, and thou art a prince over them forever. And Adam stood up in the midst of the congregation, and notwithstanding he was bowed down with age, being full of the Holy Ghost, predicted whatsoever should befall his posterity unto the latest generation. These things were all written in the book of Enoch, and are to be testified of in due time. We actually end it there, not going to verse 58. This is another glorious revelation here. They called him the Prince, Michael, the Archangel. At this time, they knew who Adam was. They knew his position in heaven before this life began. And note that Adam has said, you will be a prince over all this earth forever. Adam will never stop being the patriarch of all who are born on this earth. He is the head of the human family of this planet. Joseph Smith once said that at the final gathering, we're going to have a new meeting in Adam-on-Diamond, where all those who hold priesthood keys will return their keys to Adam, because he has the keys over all dispensations. So they return them to Adam, and Adam then turns them over to Christ. As the Son of God, Christ has all the keys. But Joseph Smith states that Adam, when he hands over all these keys, he retains the keys as patriarch of this earth. This is the priesthood that is being discussed here. The priesthood of the patriarch is a unique priesthood. It is part of the Melchizedek priesthood, yes, but it is a unique priesthood. And even a stake patriarch is not in the direct authority of the stake president. He is ordained by the 12 apostles. And he gives the patriarchal blessings, which is when it talks about here, Adam blessed Seth, he blesses Enos, he blesses Canaan. These blessings that it's talking about, these are the patriarchal blessings. Just like I got my patriarchal blessing several years ago. It's the same kind of blessing. When it says here that Adam blessed Seth, he's talking about giving him his patriarchal blessing. He blessed Enos with his patriarchal blessing. It's the same blessing. When we receive our patriarchal blessing, we are receiving the same kind of blessing that Adam blessed his posterity with. It's the same priesthood that Adam held. And each man here, the reason why we have these different ages is because they are receiving their ordination to this patriarchal priesthood. Not just the Melchizedek priesthood. All of these men were high priests, but they were also now patriarchs. It was a separate office in the priesthood. A high priest can officiate in all lesser offices. That does not give them the authority to officiate in the office of patriarch. You must be ordained a patriarch. They must be given that office separately from being a high priest. Now, I also want to mention here that it says 3 years before his death, these men all gathered, but it goes down to Methuselah, but doesn't mention Lamech. And note that Lamech earlier said he was ordained at the age of 32 by Seth. The reason for that is that Lamech was born after the death of Adam. Lamech was not yet alive at this time. Neither was Noah. That's why they are not there at this great meeting with Adam. But Methuselah was born. Adam was not translated until after, I believe, Enoch had begun his ministry. I believe Adam died before Enoch was translated, but it was after Enoch was called to the ministry. Methuselah was still alive. Most of these patriarchs outlived Enoch. Anyways, this is I've always loved this portion, especially of section 107. But I'm going to leave it here. We'll finish this out in our next reading, so I will see you there.